Hello friends and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz and I am back with another stepped up emergency card kit video. I have two craft roulette process videos. I am making two Zoifold cards using the Sassy birthday kit that came out last Friday. There are 4 pages of this kit with circle and rectangle sentiments and a card sketch that are available for free here on YouTube. If you want an expanded version for free of that kit, it's over on my Patreon. If you go to the description box below the video, click more or show more, it will unpack that box and you'll find links to the YouTube free download, a link to the Patreon free download, and then links to each of the sort of folders I have in Patreon for my paid tiers. There's always goodies coming out on the first and third Friday of every month. All month long, we've been doing birthday cards. And then next month, we're really focusing in on masculine cards. I know I can use some more in my stash, and I'm really excited to see what we can come up with. I have 4 tiers in Patreon, and the top 2 tiers get the most perks. So you're only going to see a few pages here, but that $12 tier has a searchable database of card sketches with direct downloads, and they get all of the sentiments as resizable digital stamps. And then the $25 tier gets all of that, plus resizable image files of those digital backgrounds and a searchable database of every sentiment I've ever released. So here's our card sketch, and last week we made 2 quick cards using the sketch on the left, but today we're going to make a Zoifold card using the measurements on the right. This is a funky Joyfold Z-fold card. This was one of the craft roulette parameters, not last Friday, the Friday before, and I have 2 examples for you. So I have an A2 piece of double-sided pattern paper, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I scored it at 1/2 inch, and then I'm marking it at 2 inches. I am going to rotate this a little and score from that 2-inch mark down to the bottom right-hand corner. Instead of cutting on that line, we're going to fold it so you can see both sides of the pattern paper here. This pattern paper is probably about 65 pounds, but I'm going to use my burnishing tool and really press that firmly. Because it's a Joyfold, there are lots of layers to this card, and should I put it in the mail, I want it to be able to go through with regular postage. I have 2 pieces of A2 cardstock. You could use just one, but it's going to look nicer in the end if you use 2. So I am wrapping that short flap around the back of my solid colored cardstock, and then I'm going to sandwich the other piece of purple cardstock on the back so you don't see that seam. I have been hoarding this paper for years, and I wasn't about to use any more of it than I absolutely had to. So you can see here, I now have a front flap on my card that is made out of that pattern paper, and this is a Z-fold. It's not a standard like up and down score line, but I love it because it's so unique. To make this a Joyfold, we also need a small card. So I have a piece that is 7 by 4 1/4, and I am scoring it at 3 1/2, right down the middle. Then I'm going to rotate this so that the fold is on the right-hand side. So one card opens to the right and the other opens to the left. I have 2 pieces of cardstock that I have cut using my emergency card Essentials die set number 2. It's a mouthful every time, guys, every time. If I could name it something shorter. But this has this beautiful modern embossed detail around the edges, and I thought that would be really fun here with these elegant florals. One is on just some plain white cardstock, and then this one is a shimmer white cardstock, and I'm going to go ahead and decorate this piece before I glue it onto my card. We're making birthday cards this month, so I grabbed 3 gifts from the Pretty Pink Posh Build a Gift die set. I love this thing. I have tons of presents that are already made, so I'm not showing putting these together, but really it's like boxes and bows. It's not hard, and there's so many ways you can put them together. I am making my arrangement of gifts first. That way I know that it's going to fit well on my card, but one of the parameters for craft roulette was front door, and I am going to create like a door hanger to go as my sentiment at the top, and I want to make sure there's going to be room. Spoiler, there wasn't room. I glued it down and then tried to do the top piece and it did not fit. So off camera, I just peeled it apart and moved that blue present down a little bit lower. I reached for my stash of 10 million brads and eyelets, and I'm going to use a brad to hold my door hanger right up at the top. And I'm just going to poke a tiny little hole up there, and then I'll flip it over and open up the prongs. Can you still get brads? Have you bought them lately? I assume so. They were so popular when I first started card making, and I will have them in my craft room just in case for the rest of my life. I have some gold thread that I got from, I don't know, maybe Amazon. I'll try to link it if I can find it, but any thread would work here. And I'm going to play around with this for a long time before I realize I really just need to make this about as short as possible. And then I can use the brad to kind of tug lightly on the thread and make it look like it's hanging. It's not going to take much. So here you can see that big old loop, way too big. Here we go. I have it as short as I can, a little foam tape on the back. That foam tape, more than anything else, is there to really hold that thread in place. And then I will sort of set that onto my card. This is going to be perfect for one of our rectangular emergency card sentiments. If you're new here, emergency cards are my way of building a really versatile stash. I release these free printables that have sentiments in 3 key sizes, a 1 3/4 inch circle, a 2 1/4 by 1 1/4 inch rectangle, and then 1/4 inch strip sentiments, so that most of the time I will just add my sentiment with removable adhesive. And then if I change my mind later, like maybe this isn't going to be a birthday card, maybe this is going to be for a wedding shower, then I can easily replace that sentiment with one of the over 1,000 sentiments that I have created in exactly this size. To cut my sentiments, I cut up from the bottom using the tick marks on the printable, but I leave that top header intact so I can rotate it and use the side tick marks to make sure that my spacing is perfect. If that is hard for you, there is a rectangle die and then that mat, that scallop rectangle mat that we're using that are in Emergency Card Essentials die set number 1, and you can just die cut them out if that works better. I'm going to use my removable adhesive here for the inside. So we have a double sentiment. It says, "You are too special for just a birthday card, so please keep the envelope too." And that is our first card. So the project was Zoifold, and we made a Zoifold. Then our colors were elegant, and I really went with jewel tones. And then when jewels sort of reflect light, they get a little lighter. And so we fit that in those lighter tones. Element is front door, so we have our door hanger at the top of the front of our card. And then random was 3 circles, and there are 3 circles in the centers of those present bows. But I actually have a second Zoifold that also meets the parameters. So this is 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it 4 1/4, right? So standard side folding, A2 card base, and I'm going to burnish really well. And then I'm going to put this back into my scoreboard. I am going to score this 1.5 inches from the top left, from the fold, and 1/2 inch from the bottom right corner. Then I will use the score line that I have sort of made a mark on, so it's a little darker, to find those 2 marks and score my card so I can fold it right along that panel. We're getting a slightly wider Zoi front, is that a thing, for our card. I'm going to use this Starry Sky 3D embossing folder, and it comes with a die that will cut the edge. I'm going to run 1 panel through with the die and the embossing folder, but on the card, I just wanted to cut the very edge of it. Here, I'm going to create the embossed panel. So the die will actually sit inside that embossing folder, and I just used a little temporary adhesive to hold it in there and make sure it was exactly where it needed to be. Then I'm going to use the stencils to add some sparkle and shine onto this piece. I am using a little bit of mint tape to hold it in place. You guys, I think I was back in card making for, I don't know, 6 months, a year, before I realized that mint tape is really just Post-it tape. It comes from scrapbook.com. It's a low-tack, it's my favorite low-tack adhesive because I am not a gentle crafter. And even when I'm like ripping things apart, it doesn't tear my cardstock. So I went through the first layer with some silver ink, and then this is the Opal blush. It's one of the interference inks. So it's sort of a blue color on white cardstock, and it has this pink sort of shimmer mica when you use it on a darker cardstock. And then this is just a blue shimmer ink. It's called Sapphire. It is so, so pretty. And that will give me this lovely panel. When I went to hold that panel up to my card, the black just seemed a little flat, a little dull. So I am going to add on some Shimmer black cardstock. I'm going to add glue all over the card base up to that score line. And I am just going to press my little Shimmer cardstock scrap onto there, and then I'll use my scissors to trim around it. And then this way I can sort of preserve as much of that Shimmer cardstock as possible. And I know I'm going to cover the whole thing. I knew there was no way I was going to be able to perfectly cut that piece to that size. So here it is. I got Shimmer in the background, and then I can just line up this embossed panel and kind of do the same thing. I'm getting glue into all of those little sort of tips and edges, and then I'll put glue all over the rest of the background. I like my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. It's the glue that comes in the glue press for embossed panels because there isn't 100% contact. All those raised areas are sort of sticking up. So I want the strongest adhesive I have that's going to grab as fast as possible. And for me, that's the glue to do it. So I'll just trim it off with my scissors, and then I'll flip and trim the final side as well. And now we have a Z fold, like an unusual Z fold. The joyful part of this card is the same as the last card. So I had a panel that was 7 inches by 4 3/4, and then I scored it at 3.5 to make my mini card, and then I used the same die set to cut some panels for the inside and the front. I'm decorating this card with the To the Moon die set. It's all of the rocket ship stuff on the bottom. There is a separate die set that has all the sentiments called Space Greetings. We'll use that in another video, but we're going to assemble this pretty quickly. This is not difficult to put together. And what I love is that that base die that I've cut out of blue has deboss details that shows you exactly where to put everything. I have a confession, friends. Neither of these cards got uploaded to Craft Roulette on time. They were done. I had the video done. I had the video edited. I hadn't done the voiceover yet, but everything else was done. And I forgot. Thursdays are just a little bit wonky for me. Wednesdays are my last day in the office for the week, but then Thursdays are like my grading day at home, and sometimes I'm filming a video and there's just a ton to get done. And I can't tell you the number of times I have made a Craft Roulette card, all the parameters and everything, and it just never got turned in. So I at least am going to get you a video with my take on the Zoifold because I was so thrilled by the idea. Obviously, I couldn't stop. I have a couple more of these card bases sitting in my stash for when there's like a real emergency and I need to make something extra special and unique. You'll have to let me know. Did you make a Zoifold? Did you turn it in? And let me know if you're going to paper Ganza. I'm going. I am so excited that there is a Craft Roulette in-person event close to me. So I'm thrilled. So thrilled and can't wait to meet everybody. So I'm putting the last couple pieces onto my rocket, and this piece that goes inside for the window even has a little shine mark on it that I think is super cute. When I am all done with that, I can start assembling everything else, but look how cute it is. I decided that I wanted my sentiment to be foiled because I have this one that says, "You have successfully survived another orbit of your local star." This is an old kit, my friends. This was number 8. It came out, gosh, in maybe May of the first year of me doing this. And so it's only available in Circle Sentiments. We may redo this one when we get to masculine cards in February. But I printed it onto black with my laser printer, and then I am running it through my mini Minc with some of this sparkly silver foil from Gina K. It has little flecks of stars and things in it. It's a little bit iridescent. I like to use heat level 3. I run it through inside of an A2 card base, and then I cool it off a little bit before I peel back the foil, and I go slowly. If it didn't foil beautifully, then I can always run it back through and check again. So I used my 1 3/4 inch punch to cut that out, and I am just going to check the placement of everything. I wasn't sure if I wanted just the black sentiment or if I wanted that little pop of pink. I think I like the pink here. I think that's the way to go. And then I can start gluing everything down. So I'm going to put my little rocket at kind of an angle. Then I'll add my sentiment onto the matting layer with a little bit of removable adhesive, and then I will glue that piece onto the card. Sometimes I wonder about my order of things. Do you guys put the sentiment on the mat first, or do you put the mat down and then the sentiment later? I don't know. I'm never sure. And then every time I get it crooked, I'm like, did I do it backwards? I'm going to go ahead and glue this little card to the inside. I'm just centering it on the inside. And then I can open the little card to the right and our Z fold to the left. And our second card is finished, my friends. Oh, I love this one. So for our craft roulette parameters, again, we have a Zoe fold. This one's slightly different than the first one. For our elegant colors, I chose the colors that I would wear if I was going to a fundraiser or some kind of elegant function. For front door, there's a front door on our rocket ship. Even if you cannot see it, it is a super secret hidden door. And then there's lots of circles on this card all over the place. So those are our 2 cards, and we now have 2 videos for Kit 56. There are tons of free pages available if you're going to use the free kits. All I ask is that you subscribe to my channel. It helps YouTube to recommend me to more people because I'm on a mission to make card making more affordable and more accessible. You'll find kit links in the description box below, but I will also link to the other video for 56 and the 2 videos for Kit 57. It's an add-on kit with extra digital papers and large format sentiments for Kits 55 and 56 with our birthday theme. Be sure to come back next week. I'll have another Kit 57 video with additional pages. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I will see you next time.